of this statutory annual meeting. And the first point of that is the election of the town mayor. So we are asked to elect a town mayor who will act as the chair of the council for the forthcoming year. Do we have nominations? Councillor Statutory.
I propose Councillor Brown.
Councillor David. Right, David.
I'd like to second that nomination.
Are there any other nominations? In that case, let's go to a vote. All those in favour? Okay, that is unanimous as far as I can see. Thank you very much. Okay, in that case, let's do a line change over here. And let me say congratulations to Councillor Davies on being elected town mayor of Buckingham.
Thank you very much. I think there's a councillor over here. So item 2 on this agenda is apologies. Apologies from Councillor Howard Mordew and Councillor Lindley. Thank you. Item 3 on the agenda, election of a deputy town mayor. Do we have anybody proposing anybody for that position? Lisa.
I'd like to propose Councillor Andy Wahey.
Thank you. Councillor Statutory. Proposed by Councillor O'Donoghue, seconded by Councillor Statutory. Any other nominations? All those in favour? And that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Councillor. Okay, so item 4 is signing of the declaration of acceptance of office, delivery by the mayor and councillors of their acceptance of office forms. I believe the outgoing mayor has, Schaefer has something to propose.
In light that not everybody can be here tonight, I propose that this council resolves to extend the date by which members must sign their declaration of acceptance of office to the 16th of June 2025, that being the date of the next interim full council meeting.
Thank you. We have a seconder for that. That's Councillor Statutory seconded. All those in favour? And that's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. This is your acceptance of office to your councillor, and this is your acceptance of office to the mayor.
Very much.
Members, I'm going to pass your declaration around for you to all sign if you would. I'm passing them. Okay. There are pens scattered around everybody. Thanks.
We go around the corner.
That's it.
Good. Yeah. Thank you very much indeed. So while you're filling those in, I've just got a couple of things I'd like to say. One is thank you all, and particularly thank you to Councillor Schaefer for her last 2 years as mayor. She's done a sterling job. I've got big shoes to fill. Thank you very much indeed. And for everybody's support while I've been chairing the environment and being deputy mayor. Really great bunch of people to work with. And I'd like to extend thanks to the councillors that retired or no longer sitting on this council.
Yes.
Also, I need to remind members that they need to make sure they fill in their meals. Sorry. Members need to sign, and fill in their expenses, forms and return them to Aylesbury, to Democratic Services, Election Services. Even though we didn't actually have any elections, they still have to be filled in. Okay. I will close this meeting. Thank you very much.
Sorry, now can I just have an,
Oh, sorry.
so that.
I'm fine.
Everybody return them up to me, please.
No one.
Thanks. Well, I've received them all and they have all been duly signed before me. Thank you very much, everybody.
You want to have a proper officer?
Oh. Sorry. I'd not invited you, but okay. Right. So the second meeting this evening is the first full council meeting of this new council. So I'd like to welcome members and anybody who's watching. Again, for us, we have any further apologies for absence. Same for Councillor Harwood, June, Councillor Hill. Thank you very much. Do we accept those apologies?
Yeah.
Good. Item 2, declarations of interest, to receive declarations of any personal or prejudicial interest under consideration on this agenda in accordance with the Localism Act 2011. Anybody got anything to say? No? Okay, thank you very much. Item 3 is a recommendation from the Environment Committee, and this is a motion from Councillor Ralph. And it reads, in recognition of his contribution to Buckingham over many years and the esteem and affection in which he was widely held, I propose that this committee recommends to the full council that the new allotments located adjacent to the new cemetery be named the Derek Isham allotments. Lisa.
Thank you. I'll be happy to
Sorry.
second this.
Yeah.
Because I think it's definitely worthy.
Councillor O'Donoghue.
Councillor
You
Lisa.
need to propose it because.
Oh,
Councillor.
Yes, councillor.
I should propose it.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor O'Donoghue. Councillor Statutory.
I'd like to second it on behalf of retiring councillor Anthony Ralph. It was a really good thing to do.
Yeah.
And Derek has done a lot of work for our community and then you're right to recognise Derek.
No, okay.
Just to assure members, I have written to Mrs. Isham, she's very supportive of this proposal.
That's nice, that's really nice.
Great.
So hopefully when they are up and running, we can have some sort of event and invite Councillor Isham's family. Yeah. Councillor Harvey.
Just so I hold obviously Councillor Rushing in great affection. And I miss his presence on this town council, but as members know, I will be abstaining on this because I don't believe we should name these up. As a matter of principle.
Councillor Draper.
Thank you. I was just going to say that, yeah, I agree with my colleagues. I know that we discussed it at local environment committee, so I won't go into it all again. But yeah, I think it is truly exactly of the research.
Okay, I propose that we go to a vote on that. All those in favour? So that's everybody from Councillor Harvey. Those against? And abstentions. Councillor Harvey. Thank you very much. So that's passed. Item 4, Resources Committee, to receive the minutes of the Resources Committee held on the 3rd of March.
Happy to propose members accept the minutes of resources.
Thank you, Councillor Donoghue.
Oh, yeah, sorry, we've got a recommendation as well.
Yeah.
To agree revisions to the Freedom of Information Act Application Scheme and Data Protection Act 2018 combined policy document policy that I hope you've all read.
Thank you, Councillor Donoghue. Anybody got any questions on that? Councillor Try.
Yeah, could I just make a general comment that I think all of our policies and handbooks, etc., should have a review date, which we could put at 2 years, just so that we give ourselves time. But
If we want to do other things in the council, then we are going to require this on documents.
I think we already, because I think.
It doesn't have it.
This is. Can I have some,
If I could add, that is,
yeah,
that is a work in progress, some do have it on, some don't have it on. I would like, particularly one doesn't, some are required by our standing orders to be done annually, regardless. But that is a work in progress, so we're doing a much review all the policies, thank you.
So this one will be updated with the review. If I may. Yeah, and coming down to the page 10 of that, where it says hard copy and website, I don't think they would be given the same information or the information the same style. For instance, the council members, you can't get a hard copy of all the council members. You have to go into them individually and have to then print them off. Where a hard copy, I expect the office would print out an Excel sheet of all of the things all on one page, where you couldn't do that on the website. And there was one about finance expenditures over £100, I think it said.
which page are you looking at?
Yeah, hang on.
Page 10 as well at the bottom.
Is it? Thank you. What does it say? Page 10.
All items of expenditure.
Yeah. Now, I believe that's £500 on the website. The spreadsheet shows under the financial page. It says anything over £500.
Yeah, to get any clarification on that.
I'll be honest, I'm struggling to. What was the page number again? Sorry,
It's
councillor.
page,
10.
page 10 on the.
1, 2, 3.
Five of the document.
Fourth one up from the bottom.
There were two separate regulations, so it's the 500 one is the one that was showing the document if the finance pages, but we also do publish everything over 100 as part of our agendas for finance meetings.
But not on the website then.
They're on the website, but under the agenda rather than separately.
Ah, yeah, okay. Well, again, there's a disconnect between the hard copy and the website.
That's for Statutory.
Only just to say the note, a great thing, it's moved from the town clerk to the compliance officer, which is a compliance issue, so that's why it would be the compliance officer. So, only just note that it's in the report, to prove we looked at it.
Okay. Anybody else got anything? Have we taken this whole section?
It's a recommend.
Of one.
I would suggest, because these are quite important policies, this is a recommendation from resources, it's taken.
Yeah, individually. So, recommendation 4.1 to agree to the revisions to the Freedom of Information Act Publication Scheme and Data Protection Act 2018 combined policy document policy. No, policy is appendix A, sorry. Read on there. So we've got a recommendation from resources to Councillor Draper.
Proposing to accept recommendation.
Councillor Draper and Councillor Statutory.
Second.
Stand up.
I'm miles away, I'll stand up.
Okay. I propose that we move to the vote on that. All those in favour? And that's unanimous. 4.2, to receive report from the compliance and projects manager. It's recommended, members recommend to full council, subject to any typographical corrections required, the new health and safety policy to be adopted.
It's a further recommendation from
Yes, yeah. Councillor Draper.
Just a question, because I did read through it in former councillor absence, I've found a few typos and grammatical errors which I've been highlighting. When do you need them by? Because it's quite a large document, and I'm about a quarter of the way through it.
by the end of the week, that would be
Yeah.
super, thank you very much. If I could just point out that, there was a report added to this that says since, resources have seen this document, there was one amendment, which was that in the previous document you saw, there was no deputy clerk at the time it was written. There now is, and so shared responsibilities have been put in there. So it's as the resources committee saw it, that one exception.
Thank you. I've got Anya and then I've got Heather. Sorry, Councillor Schaefer and then.
I was just going to propose that we recommend, that we accept the recommendation.
Thank you.
Second that.
Councillor Hale.
So this
Oh,
is,
sorry.
this is my way of a question really. Has there been any discussion about whether driving while using hands-free devices should be something that we encourage? Because I would think that driving risk is probably one of our highest risks of fatalities. And a lot of organisations are moving away from having people use hands-free devices because it can distract the driver and increase the accident rate.
In answer to that, I'd say I don't recall having any such conversations. However, that's not on tonight's agenda, so therefore it's not something we're able to discuss. Okay.
It is in the staff handbook, but I can speak to you about it outside of the meeting.
Yeah.
Just a
Councillor Nardi.
comment, all the shit is covered by the, what's the handbook that we get as drivers?
Yeah.
We really comply with the law, basically.
Okay, so we've got a proposal that we accept the proposals. That's okay. I think you proposed it. Yeah, basically you seconded it, sorry, got lost. All those in favour? It's unanimous, yeah. And then item 1.2, recommended members recommend to full council that subject to any typographical corrections required, the new health and safety handbook be adopted. Propose that we accept that.
Health and safety.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Yeah, I'm happy to second it. Sorry,
Okay, so I proposed it. I think
Oh,
this is second.
Sorry.
Seconded it. All those in favour? Okay, item 4.3, insurance. To note that the town council has extended the agreement with Zurich Insurance to provide cover for 25-26 in accordance with the attached policy at a cost of £20,767.39. Councillor Statutory.
Propose we accept the recommendation.
We have somebody to second that.
I'll second it.
Councillor Troy seconded. All those in favour? Item 4.4, these are all coming from the Resources Committee, so it was a very busy Resources meeting last week. 4.4, investment strategy policy and annual investment strategy. It's recommended that members review and agree the revised investment strategy policy.
Happy to recommend. Who's that?
Thank you, Councillor O'Donoghue. Councillor Harvey?
Yeah, I'm still not happy with this. I don't think the detail in this is sufficient. I appreciate the extra detail that's been added by the compliance officer about what the investment strategy is compliant with. But I think there are still some very big gaps that we ought to know about, where the 800 pounds that we've currently got, those within the CCLA scheme. I mean, I don't know if any money goes into tobacco or into arms or into any other rogue states in the world. I've dug into it today. I could not find any information other than some fairly bland, fairly intelligible sort of comments. So I would like still, I mean, I'm not saying we don't approve it tonight, but I would like still some more information. Where does our £800,000 get invested? Just a simple question. You know, what's the money going into? There are lots of places that I don't want it to go into. You know, and I think it's not an unreasonable question to ask, and I would ask again. I'd say I'm not resisting that we don't agree tonight, but I would ask for there to be a further report with some actual detail where the money goes. Thank you.
Is that something the compliance manager is?
It provides the information that's available to me.
Thank you very much. Councillor Statutory.
Yeah, happy to get recommendation. I think Councillor Harwood's point is a question which is an any question which has been asked in more than one place about more than one issue. I was present when it was asked in Buckingham Council on a separate issue to insurances. And I think we're not there yet. And I think it's a worthy question, and I think it needs investigation, but we need to agree tonight, and then I think so has to go away and look at in a more timely, measured manner.
Clerk coming in on this.
Well, I mean, when I know this has been to resources, recommendation from resources. Should we have a chat outside the meeting, John, about what specifically it is that you want to know that's not on there, and then we can try and find it out for you. John?
I just want to know where the money goes. Because otherwise it's going into this vague thing called the CCLA. Where do they invest their money? It's not apparent from any of the digging that I've done today. And this is not criticism of Steve's maybe trying to shape or form. Steve's done what we agreed Steve should do. So that's fine, but it's not enough. We need to find out some more. That's what I'm asking for. The detail is, does any one single pound of our money go into promoting tobacco in countries around the world? I want to know that. Does any pound go into developing bombs that are killing people right now in Sudan, in Gaza, or wherever else it might be, or in Ukraine, or wherever? That's the sort of stuff that I want to know, and I think it's stuff that we all ought to know, as well as a town council. We are here on behalf of the people of the town. The money is their money. It's taken from precept over many years. I don't think it's an unreasonable question to ask. Now, if the CCLA won't give us information, then I think we should think again about where we put our money, because this sort of stuff ought to be transparent.
It's absolutely not an unreasonable question, John. I don't think anybody is saying that it is. However, are you looking to put an amendment to this?
I'm proposing a motion that we ask for more detail about where the money actually goes. That's what I'm proposing, yeah.
So to be honest, so aside from what's already in Appendix E, that's the breakdown, you want something further beyond that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I've got Councillor Jane Morgie and then Councillor Ahmed.
Okay, thank you. And we had that discussion in the resource committee about the use of the word ethical for our investments to make sure our investment have. And I think, I'm not speaking as a financial expert, you will find that the finance industry has been into this pretty thoroughly. And if you ask for investments, they will do that for you. Whether you recognise from, when I look at these lists of where investments are made for my other charity, whether you know, whether anybody will be able to tell you whether there's something dark happening down below. But I think the finance industry has to be so careful these days that when you ask as a client for ethical investments, they have got a whole set of expertise that is there to ensure that there are ethical investments.
Thank you, Councillor Morgie. Councillor Ahmed.
I was just going to say that I agree with Councillor Harvey. I think we should find out. So if he needs anyone's second proposal, I'm happy to do that. Excellent. And also, I think when it comes to big conglomerates and businesses, maybe what the average layperson thinks of as ethical doesn't apply to them in the same sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's something which is subject to different interpretation, isn't it? So we've got a proposal from Councillor Harvey that we get some further detail on this, which has been seconded by Councillor Ahmed. Shall we move to the vote on that? Yeah, all those in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? So we've got councillor Troy, councillor Mahi and councillor Jane Ward Judy abstaining. That's
So to clarify, that's the amendment, is it? What word did you have word for the amendment?
So, councillor Harvey proposed that further report is brought to explain where all of the money is invested.
Sorry, councillor Harvey, was your intention that we would pass this for the moment and then revisit it, or do you want to?
It's a good question. I guess the question is, once we've got the information, we can then decide what we want to do. But for the moment, I'm certainly happy with the recommendation in the report that we agree, the broadly speaking investment strategy as it currently stands. But when the information comes back from further research, at that point, we may decide to do something different.
Are you proposing
Well, items 1.1 and 1.2.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm happy to propose those two recommendations.
Thank you very much. And do we have a second for that? Councillor Ahmed. Robin, councillor Statutory, did you have something
No,
else?
it's just that I thought we'd proposed and seconded and then went back to the close. But it's,
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
And we've done it twice now, so you can make it lawfully now, but you've done it twice, so better to do it twice than not at all, John.
Absolutely.
Okay, right, all those in favour? Of accepting it as it stands
Oh, yes.
for now,
Yeah.
further discussion will be yeah. Anyone against? Any abstentions? That was abstain. Okay, so item 4.5, 1.1, preventing sexual harassment risk assessment and action plan. It's recommended that members review and adopt the risk assessment. Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, there are one or two points on this that I think still needs revision. I'm just trying to put it up without detaching it from my battery because I ran out of stuff. There we go. It's page 4 of 200 and whatever it is. We can go to that. Excuse me while I just grab it up here a second. Yeah, it says here, are there any areas of power imbalances in the workplace? And the costs have been put in the no column. I think that's wrong. I think there are certainly power imbalances in the workplace, not least within any workplace where there are managers, because we don't run as a collective. We have managers and we have the town clerk and so forth. The X has got to be in the first column, in my view. And also, we are a unique, well, not unique, but we're an unusual organisation, but we also have members. And there's, as I mentioned this at the resources meeting, there is a power imbalance between members and officers. So the X ought to be in that first column. I'll carry on just while I'm on my feet. On page 55, we do have young workers, not many, but occasionally have an apprentice in the past, and therefore, this is making this completely only now, depends how you define young as well. But we certainly have younger members, and we certainly have a few younger officers. We just, I believe, hired somebody to take over Lace Hill. I've not met the person yet, but I'm guessing, this might be a younger person, perhaps. I don't know. I just think it doesn't make any sense to put an X in the no column. And finally, on page 56, I think we ought to include another category, which is volunteers. We depend upon volunteers very often for quite a few of our town centre events, particularly into road closures and so on. And I think we ought to recognise their role, because as volunteers they can be vulnerable too. And it isn't that they're not casual workers, they're not agency workers, they are volunteers. And I think it deserves a row or to themselves. And I think the last point I would make, sorry to go on about this, but I've been through it today, is that whilst it talks a lot about the development for the office staff in terms of recognising the potential for sexual harassment, I think we ought to recognise that that's a member thing as well. And if there are development opportunities available to the office staff, then I think they should be available to us as members as well, because we have the capacity to be sexual harassing or he's just like anybody else?
Clerk.
Sort of taking those in order. In regard to the power imbalances, I would argue that all of our employees have good structures in place in order to counteract that power, any potential power imbalances. Our employees are not without power. They have people they can go to, they have policies and procedures in place. Sorry, what was the second one? Young workers, we don't have any under 18s. If we did have under 18s, then we would have to do an entire separate risk assessment, but at the moment we don't have any, probably under the age of 18. In regard to the volunteers, I think that's a very good point, and I can't see any reason to not adequate quality volunteers on the committee. I've forgotten what that
Was that all of them, John?
and training being available to members.
Yeah.
Of course, training is available to members, but we will specify that in the document.
Okay. We've got Councillor Statutory and Councillor Guides. Anybody else have nothing to?
Well, we did mention the power imbalance between councillors and members, which was the first thing. I think you'll find if you look at the code of conduct for councillors, there is some element in there around that. So, and there's about member engagement. I was doing a training session today on it, so it's fresh in my mind. So I think, though it's not in this report, John, you might be able to look at the code of conduct stuff and then see where that cuts in. It is covered in the sense that the councillor is bullying, aggressive, such as to member staff, and it's repetitive aggression. And the member staff don't necessarily, members of staff can't complain in a meeting. The members of staff can't call out in a meeting that they're being bullied. That is for us, members around this council. We see that. It's for us in the code of conduct to actually call it out ourselves. So I think it might be something that when we go through that, we look at that. It's covered in there. It's not specifically in this document, but I don't think it really answers your question, John, but it's nice to know it's been discussed somewhere else, because this is a problem in public life, and you're right to mention it, but I think, not to repeat myself, but it was there for the training that we had today, so I think that might help.
Thank you, Robbie. Councillor Choi.
Thank you. Yeah, just picking up on Robin's point, although it wasn't one of mine I was going to question. Of course, this is a risk assessment, which means all of the items that are questioned here should be elsewhere. This is just bringing it together in a risk assessment. So, yes, we may have it elsewhere, but it does say council chamber in the work location. So here we all are, and therefore I agree with John that it should be in there. Right, on page 52, we do have, is anyone required to work at night? No. Well, you know, there are a few events that it's definitely dark out there. Whether that comes in the nighttime working, I do not know. But same as young people are now under 18, as we now find out. And I'm still not comfortable on page 55 of putting boxes for particular groups of staff into this risk assessment, because you can miss out particular people that don't fall into those boxes. I'm one of those because I'm a man and I don't come in any of those. So young workers. Oh yes. But so rather than putting even more boxes in, I'd quite like, you know, yeah, I don't see there's a particular reason for having, we could capture them elsewhere.
Councillor Schaefer.
So we obviously have had this conversation at length in the resources meeting. We did state at the time that a lot of these categories, this is what is recommended in these risk assessments. And of course, everybody is covered, regardless of who they are.
Whether or not they fall into a protected category, it is however common to point out what the protected or the categories of people who might be particularly vulnerable are, and those are listed. And it says, just as a reminder, on the page before, I've not got the document right in front of me, but for a reasonably good memory, it says that it obviously applies to everybody, but these are the categories of vulnerable people. And it is good practice to list those so that those, and it is a rolling risk assessment, that's the other thing, what we write in there, just because we haven't got a person under 18 now, doesn't mean that when the risk assessment is completed again in 6 months' time and there is one, then that person will be on there and that box will be ticked. So I don't feel that with this risk assessment, it is helpful, it's necessary for us to go through every single category and think whether we think this is the right category. I do, however, agree with the point about volunteers. That might be a useful one to add.
Thank you, Councillor Schaefer. I think that Steve during the resources meeting pointed out to us that night working is classed after midnight.
What's 12 till 6 is
Yeah,
what we're about.
yeah, so we don't generally have people working during those hours. And as Councillor Schaefer says, it is a live document, it's a working document, it's something that doesn't have to come before us every time there might be a change. It's something that will be updated as we go along. Personally, I think that John's point about power imbalance, I think there can be a power imbalance in every workplace. It's not something which you can just brush under the carpet. If you've got people who are managing other people, there will be inevitably a power imbalance. That's a joke.
Just on the line of working, what about fair? Because our guys out on a chill. No? I'll sit down then.
We shouldn't have anyone out between midnight and 6 AM. If we did, again, is on the document, and that by itself would require risk assessment.
Okay. So does anybody have any proposals for any changes to this document as it stands? Or what is everybody happy at this moment to okay, I've got John, Councillor Harvey.
Okay, I'm sorry to come back, but I'm not going to let this one go. There are power imbalances in every organisation, and there is a power imbalance in this organisation between members and officers, which we have to recognise. So my proposal is that we shift that X from the no column to the yes column and think about that accordingly. That's what I'm proposing. With regard to the youth, young people, a bracket saying under 18 would be helpful, obviously, and maybe even night work between midnight and 6 o'clock, just to specify that so that anybody reading this fresh rather than reading in the meeting here tonight will know what is meant. And I think we've already agreed that the volunteers should have their own separate role as well. So that's my proposal, that we make those minor changes to it, which is shift the X to the yes column for the power imbalances, add under 18 for youth workers, and add a special line for volunteers. And thank you for agreeing that members should be available, should be able to avail themselves of development in this realm as well.
I think John might have missed out the other clarification regarding the night working.
Yeah. Oh yes,
as well.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And may I just double check the board has got, so we have 5 amendments there.
So we have the proposal to move the X from the no column to the yes column regarding power imbalance. We have to include real workers under 18. And we have all night workers to clarify that is 12 midnight to 6 AM.
And adding in the volunteers. So another one.
And this training was the fifth.
And the training being available. That's Statutory.
Yeah, I appreciate all the points made, they're all worthy, but That's what we should try and do in the future, is to make sure we make them amendments in the resource committee going forward and agree it. We're repeating what was said again in the meeting here, as to have a second go at it, perhaps. We have to think carefully about how we handle these things in a resource meeting, if there's such a concern, because it kept taken forward into members. I don't want to repeat it, but some of these things are said, so we need to think carefully, because we should use council in a different way than what we are trying to do.
Councillor John here.
Thank you, I'm happy to second John's amendments.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll have a vote on John's amendments. Do members wish Paul to read them out again? No, everybody happy with them? Okay. All those in favour of the amendments? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. And then we'll vote on the substantive motion then, which is to accept the preventable sexual harassment risk assessment and action plan. All those in favour? No, do we need a proposal?
Yeah,
second of that as well, don't we? Yeah. Okay, so proposed by Councillor O'Donoghue, seconded by Councillor Draper. All those in favour? That is everybody, I think, apart from Councillor Troy. Anybody against? Councillor Troy. Thank you. Okay, then we go to 1.2, recommended that members review and adopt the action plan, risk assessment and action plan. Statutory.
And we agree, the action plan.
Councillor Troy.
Yes, I believe there's one on the website, but it's headed, excuse me, pink in the file name. What? Exactly. The employee handbook says pink.
On action plan.
We're on action
We're
plan.
actually plan for the prevention of sexual harassment.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Jump the gun.
Councillor Draper.
Second, Councillor Secretary.
Thank you very much. Okay, shall we move to the vote on that? Yeah, all those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you very much. Then we move on to 4.6, staff handbook. Recommended that members review and recommend the revised staff handbook to full council to approve. And there's an overview of amendments, which I think Steve, that was the deputy clerk was that on that?
No,
that's another bit.
That was
Sorry.
the health and safety.
Okay, right.
So this is the revised staff handbook with all the updated legislation.
Okay.
That's advised work next.
So it helps, Chair, they're listed on pages from page 73.
Yeah.
Steve's listed them all.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Troy.
Oh. Yes, it's yes. I couldn't quite work out whether that meant in draft or yes. It's just in the file name. It's May 2025, but it says pink. And I just wondered whether there was some logic behind that.
I have absolutely no idea.
It does say pink, doesn't it? Yes.
Councillor Troy, is there anything in that file which you wish to question at this moment?
No,
Just
but
its name.
yeah, I think we just need to make it the staff handbook, not a date, because that's within the document. Otherwise, when we go to the file again, it's, you know, people may get the wrong link or something, whatever. It just made me look at it. Anyway, there you go. Thank you very much for listening to me.
No, I have no thoughts.
No, can we leave that with the office to have a look at? Yeah, okay, so we've got recommendation from resources for this one. We need a proposal and seconder, please, proposed by Councillor Statutory, seconded by Councillor O'Donoghue. All those in favour? That is unanimous, thank you very much. And then the financial regulations, item 4.7, recommended that members review and agree the new financial regulations, which is page 76 of 206, for those who are still following. Councillor Statutory.
Agree.
Second.
Proposed by Councillor Statutory, seconded by Councillor Mahi. We move to vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, so that is resources recommendations finished for now. Item 5 on the agenda, speech for mayor making. To agree, the councillor who will make the speech giving a vote of thanks to the retiring mayor.
Who's doing it? Somebody's doing
Councillor Statutory.
I'm always happy to talk, so if I propose I'll talk to somebody else who want to do it. So, and I would be very happy to speak to Annie's term there, and the work she's done. And I'm very happy to do that. I'm no different in it whatsoever.
Councillor Ahmed.
My second report, please.
Okay. Anybody else want to throw that across in the ring on this? Okay, so we've got a proposal and a seconder of Councillor Statutory. All those in favour?
No, he's done this a couple of times before. It's safe.
Okay, item 6, the annual town meeting, which was 6th of March 2025, to receive feedback from the committee clerk, which is, we've got appendix 1 here. Councillor O'Donoghue.
Can we just sign up to the committee clerk for the report, because it's actually very, very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent report. Thank you very much, Paula. Are we noting this? Or there's no recommendations on it, is there? So notice. Thank you very much. Thank you, Paula. Item 7. Notice of future co-option. Okay, so contact this report from the compliance and projects manager. Steve, do you want to talk on this?
Members will know we have 2 vacancies. One is a post-election vacancy for a ward that was filled. One is in the other ward with the resignation of Councillor Bogan. The notice of vacancy has gone out for that as required by law. The 29th of May, we should know whether we require an election or not. If we don't, we will be able to co-opt at the same meeting as the first vacancy, which is the interim on the 16th.
Okay, anybody got
Just for information.
Thank you very much. John, have you got?
Yeah, I just understood what you said there, Steve, so thank you for that. Yeah, I was going to say, can we match the 2 together? Because on the basis that nobody wants a by-election, then that should be possible, which makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? Okay, all right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
John, anybody else? Thank Steve for his report.
Yeah.
And then we've got Steve again for members' allowances, item 8.
Do you wish me to speak on that?
Please.
Okay, members will know that we members have the option to receive a member's allowance. This is generally following the process of practice recommended by the remuneration panel that reported recently to Buckingham Council. That was amended in Buckinghamshire Council's meeting to change the basic allowance. That means there is a change therefore to the recommendation that this council would generally follow, doesn't have to. And so that is in our report, and it states what the allowance would be, and was voted for it this year.
Councillor Statutory.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's, it's the first statement I got from our officers in regulators thing. We are a sovereign council, right? Just remember that we're a sovereign council. We're not any way compliant. We don't have to agree, follow, and that's legislated. And I did pass that on to Steve, waiting to show me in the office. When considering this, don't get confused with what took place in Buckinghamshire to what took place here. That was an exercise in politics, but here we are not a political county. So, but also, outside bodies never discussed. So I think it's up to members how to go there, right, and myself nor. But just to remind you, we're not, to certain, we are not. We were advised by the lady by finance officer when I wrote to Thursday, she said, you are sovereign, you're not council in your own right. So let's not start down a shaky road of being instructions from Aylesbury. Never really outside instructions from Aylesbury. It's not in my blood. To do that. And probably resisted it for a very long time. So I'm very happy. I think you've seen sight of that.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, point 2.2 does state what the situation is. It's not that Steve has not taken that into account.
Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, I've done a bit of the maths on this. If we were to go for 4.5% of the reduced amount that the Shire Council agreed, that would mean a reduction of £67 per annum for us. And whilst I love being a town councillor, I don't think it seems very fair to take a reduction of £67 when I know many of us around the table work our socks off for this town council. I know that as town clerk has just highlighted, we're not obliged, and it's good practice to adopt the recommendations from the remuneration panel, which was of course for £15,000, and 4.5% of that works out to be £675 per annum, which is a modest increase of £8.75 on the current amount we get, which is an increase of 1.3%. Of our current allowance. So my proposal is that we take the 4.5% of the 15,000 recommended by the remuneration panel, which would result in an amount of 675 for all of us here tonight.
Thank you, John. Councillor John, you.
Thank you, I'd like to second that, because there is a lot of hard work that goes on amongst councillors, so yeah, I agree with everything John said.
Anybody else? Councillor Schaefer.
I think it's not unreasonable to go with the recommendation of the remuneration panel. I know how hard everybody around this table works. I should like to say that we are not generally in the business of awarding ourselves generous allowance increases, and this is a very modest one, which is much lower than inflation would have been. So on that basis, but I think it's important that we state this, that we all spend significant hours a week, plus phone calls, plus driving around, plus expenses, and that is what the allowance is there for, to recompense us in a small way for the work that we are doing. And I think it would be unfair to members around the table to reduce that.
I would also add myself to that, but members who are co-opted do not get an allowance. So there will be two new members who won't get an allowance. There are members around this table who have been co-opted in the last council who have not got an allowance, and members don't have to accept the allowance if they don't feel they wish to. Councillor Harvey.
Can I just clarify our legal advisor that we are allowed to vote on this, because obviously we've all got pecuniary interests in this decision. So I assume we are allowed to vote on this.
Councillor Statutory.
Yeah, I thanks John for bringing up the report from the remuneration panel, because the remuneration panel was, as John said, it was amended in a meeting for an election, which is what it was for an election thing. And the hours that authority puts in was recognised by the remuneration panel and what they did. And it should transfer here. It shouldn't get into the exercise. The one thing I do would like to do now is that we bring back a report at future time. I'm dissatisfied that somebody comes on the council and co-opted. It's difficult, but doesn't get it. I think it's unfair.
Unfortunately, Councillor Statutory, the law.
I know it might be the law, we should discuss why it is the law, it's unfair.
Yeah. Okay, right, so we've got a proposal from Councillor Statutory, Councillor Harvey, that we, and seconded by Councillor O'Donoghue, that we adopt 4.5% of the Independent Remuneration Panel's original proposal to Buckinghamshire Council, which was going to be 15,000.
May I clarify that? I'm sorry if I missed something. Is that different from Steve's?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one, yeah.
If I can just make a clarification, so whilst the remuneration panel recommended 50,000 of basic allowance for Buckinghamshire officers, and that's where the 4.5 comes in. The actual recommendation they made for town and parish councils was that they take 4.5% of the Buckinghamshire councillors' basic allowance.
Okay.
So whilst Buckinghamshire did vote for a reduction, the remuneration panel's advice and recommendation for town and parish councils as that it's 4.5% of that, not of their original recommendation, which I wanted to clarify that. Members are entitled to go differently.
Okay.
But the recommendation that they're sitting on poor follows the town and parish council one that the remuneration panel gave.
Apologies, yeah, I misread that.
Okay, so Councillor Harvey.
Okay, well, insert original then into the previous motion then. So the original recommendation from the remuneration panels of the UK, I'm saying should be 4.5% of that original recommendation, not the one that's.
And that figure works out to be, you did tell us that.
Yeah, it works out to be 600.
Thank you very much. Okay. So,
This is really important one there, and this will be scrutinised, so I just want to be absolutely certain that we've just got a clear.
okay.
If you could just double check this much.
Okay, so Councillor Harvey proposed that we insert original into the recommendation and take the 4.5% of the original proposal of the independent remuneration panel to Buckinghamshire Council.
Which was a figure of 15,000.
And the rest of the recommendation stands, including for the rest of the financial year before the next council election. Okay, thank you.
Therefore, members' allowance will be £675 if we vote in favour of it in the moment. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, are you happy with that? Okay, so all those in favour? Yes, unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you, John, for your input on that, and thanks, Steve, for your work. Okay, so item 9 invitation. Yeah, please. Unless the Deputy Town Clerk is here.
This has, as members know, been around for a little while. It has kind of come to a halt. We are struggling to put together something that fills the current priorities of the King. There was only one attendee at the last working group. Our recommendation based on that is that at this time we agree not to pursue the invitation.
Okay. I don't recall getting an invitation to the working group.
It was sent to all of the working group members on a doodle poll.
Right, okay, sorry, I missed that. Councillor Statutory.
Agreed policy, it shouldn't be just on the basis that we met, just as that we voted on and agreed that it goes, well, it was agreed if we wanted to do it. The reason was that Charles the first came to Buckingham and Charles the second came to Buckingham. It would be quite nice to get Charles the third come to whoever, mayor, whoever at the time. Now, I would not vote to not discuss the thing. I was fortunate to meet the gentleman once, and I think he'd be very wise to come to Buckingham and get a good reception. So I'm not going to vote for that proposal of whatever. If we need to revisit these things until you succeed, not give up the first hurdle. And this is the third hurdle. I'm sure this is the same problem that many towns, parishes, communities have down the country. And I'm sure that with the King being of a certain age, this is a challenge to him. We shouldn't, we were a royalist town in the Civil War. This town's got a great royal image. And many people in this town would probably really appreciate it. So just to throw the town on the basis that we have done a poll and one person turned up and one thing, that was a bit weak to me. So I'm quite happy to carry on and have another discussion.
Councillor Draper.
Can I just ask, 2.3 said based on the requirements and the current priorities identified as of interest to the King, it's clear that Buckingham would find it difficult to meet the criteria required. What criteria are we talking about?
They're quite long in detail, and it's something that we had in the entire presentation from the Lord Clerk about in the working group. If members want us to set up another working group and look at the matter again, then that's fine, but it's quite a lot of detail to go through at this point of this meeting. But basically, the palace have extremely set criteria, and they aren't going to come just to see the town. They need a thing that falls into their 4 priorities, ticking off as many of those priorities as possible. And we are struggling to find anything that would match his current criteria.
Within the statute.
Councillor comes to statute. I want to see the Mason, not a project or a thing that aligns with his current priorities.
Councillor Harvey.
Can I suggest or propose that we don't make a final decision on this tonight? I think the information that we're missing is the priorities that the Royal House has put out as being the focus for the King in the coming years. And I'm wondering whether it would be good to circulate that to all the members, where we can all have a good look at it and then decide if we like it on our own bat, and then maybe at the next council meeting, then come to the decision whether we do or don't go ahead with this. Because clearly there was a lot of work involved in preparing a pitch to actually attract the King or a member of the royal family here. So I think, but we're missing some information. So I'd rather we don't make a decision. So I propose that we don't make a decision tonight. Update the information and return to this point at the next meeting.
Shall I circulate my notes from the presentation from the Lord Lieutenant?
Yes, yeah, that's the information that we need. Thank you.
Just Sheffield.
I think I would second that. It was clear when we had the presentation from the Lord Lieutenant's office that it was very specific.
Yeah.
So there are certain charities or certain interests that members of the royal family have, and they are in great demand. So they will only come if it aligns very closely, and then probably only if it fits on an itinerary that they're doing already anyway. So it isn't an easy thing at all, which also means we should look at these priorities. They might, however, also change. So once we have that list circulated, we can look at it and we can all put our thinking caps on to think whether there is anything that would work, but it has to be a really, really strong proposition. You're putting forward a pitch. Basically, it's got to be a really strong pitch, like if you wanted to get funding for something. There is no reason why, if we decide not to pursue it at this stage, we couldn't revisit this in a year's time. Yes.
So, sorry, Councillor Harvey proposed that we didn't make a decision about it tonight.
I've seconded
that. Okay, Councillor Stretchman.
No, I'm happy John's proposal because we haven't got criteria. We're just being told that this is criteria is very difficult, whatever. And councillors are very busy. We've just gone for an election. Many people are doing lots of different things, and some members of this council still actually work. You know, our job. So it might be difficult for them. So I think we revisiting it, looking at it. I still think that as we visit Buckingham on a regular basis, as a younger man, I really quite like to come back to North Buckinghamshire. We've only just crossed the river where I worked.
Okay, so the first and second, well, John's proposal that we don't make a decision on this tonight, seconded by Councillor Schaefer. All those in favour? So that's unanimous. Yeah, and Claire will share the information with you. Thank you all. Okay, so item 10 then, to receive the question reports from Buckinghamshire councillors. I'm not entirely sure that Buckinghamshire councillors will have terribly much yet, because they haven't met yet in this new council. John.
I've got a point to make, but if they wanted to jump in.
We'll go in alphabetical order. We'll go Councillor Schaefer first.
I genuinely don't wish to take up the council's time at this moment, because there is not much to report beyond what you all already know. You know who's been elected. You know that the composition of Buckinghamshire Council is very different from what it was before. And before the 21st, we will not know exactly who forms the administration. So, and my apology in that.
Yes, that's me.
Yeah, just to let you know, I have sent a plethora of questions in already on a plethora of things which are outstanding, and things which have frustrated me. We have got some major issues that we've got to return to as a community, which will feature in the election by all parties. So I think they will be returned to. If you don't discuss it here and don't take on board this council opinions and thoughts, we'll be letting the council down. This is the seed form of originality when it comes to that thing. So I'm happy for it to come forward, and I'll listen to it and I'll come back report.
That's a shame.
Just for the record, I was not proposing for a minute that we do not take on board the views of this council.
I wasn't suggesting you were.
Councillor Harvey.
I just want to propose that we minute our thanks to Councillor Ozzy Bogan, who is of course our third Shire councillor, but is no longer on this town council. But we minute that we've enjoyed his contribution over the last 4 years. And we just minute that. I personally regret that he's no longer here, because we would have had all three of our Shire councillors on one body, and that would have given us a lot of strength to build a sort of relationship with the Shire council. So I regret that he's resigned. I don't want that minuted as such, but I think we should minute thanks to him. That's what I suggest.
Just correct me if I'm right. I think he can still attend here and deal with it.
Oh, yeah, it's
So he's quite welcome to take
it's no longer.
that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll be possible.
Thank you, Councillor Statutory. Okay, thank you very much.
Was that the form?
Yeah, that's a proposal.
To move
It needs to be agreed, I suppose, yeah.
Seconder. So seconded by Councillor Ahmed, all those in favour? That's unanimous. I think. Sorry, was there anybody abstaining or against that? No, everybody. Okay, so we move on to item 11, review of policies and delegated arrangements as required by standing orders, section 5. 11.1, financial management documents. Councillor Harvey.
I propose that we take all three recommendations together and go straight to the vote.
Yeah, I agree.
Seconded by Councillor Ahmed, all those in favour? So unanimous? Are you abstaining? Okay.
How to hear what you said there, you're abstaining?
11.2, committee terms of reference. Councillor Schaefer.
As they are unchanged, I propose that we accept them en bloc.
Second.
Thank you very much. Councillor Troy.
Could I just make the review date as we go through them?
Standing orders.
These standing orders, annually.
Yes, I know the standing orders do say that, but yeah, it would be nice to see it on the document.
Okay, proposed by Councillor Schaefer, seconded by Councillor Statutory. Councillor Martin. Councillor Martin. All those in favour of agreeing to all those? That's unanimous, thank you. 11.3, committee choices.
Agreed.
Agreed, all those in favour? Do we need to propose a second that, please? Proposed by Councillor Donahue, seconded by Councillor Ahmed. All those in favour? Thank you very much, that's unanimous. Standing orders. Receiving compliance and projects manager, and standing orders and report from the town clerk. Anybody? Councillor Statutory.
Can I propose we read standing orders, isn't it? They're not listed, no standard change.
Thank you. Somebody second. Councillor Harvey, seconding.
I'm seconding again, I'm very glad finally we've got some gender free terms in the whole. I've been arguing for the last 14 years, so it's great to see it now finally.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
No other change.
So all those in favour? That is unanimous. 11.5, review of arrangements.
Recommendation for a working group to.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I missed that one.
11.4.
What page am I looking at?
145.
I've got a bit behind then. Same pages. Just let the new members know that our meetings aren't normally this
Tedious.
It's all stuff that we have to
Housekeeping, yeah.
do at the statutory meeting.
Don't call past 8, we won't.
Do quite well, huh? 145. Cool, cool. Oh, yeah. Go on then.
It's a recommendation, basically, it's just the start of a new council cycle. I'd like members to join a working group to review the standing orders, start the cycle and have a look at how we manage ourselves, please.
I think this is a great idea, and as Councillor Singh has already just said that he did not understand some of the documents before him and abstained, this is exactly why we need to do this. Because tonight is all a bit of a blur if you have not been involved before.
Councillor Harvey?
Yeah, can I encourage that we're going to a few members and other members, seasoned members, whatever.
You, John.
I know, but I think a mix on that working group festival would be really, really good.
My thought, councillor, is that we'd give it a couple of months just for new members to attend a couple of meetings, and then we'd look to set up a working group open to anybody, any members that wish to attend.
Okay, right.
Thank you. Good idea. Okay, so, I think Councillor Tribe proposed it.
I'll second.
Councillor O'Donnell is seconded. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you very much. 11.5 then, review of arrangements with other local authorities. Which is Dobbins and chartered markets and chartered fairs. Is there anything to?
It's just a matter of, almost that we need to be.
Okay.
They are laws that are already listed through environment, that they need to be.
Okay. So that's
Just a technical review, not a detailed change.
No changes at all.
That's fine, that's fine.
okay. First and second to accept those. Councillor Draper. Councillor Schaefer. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Subscription. Now, I've got this some review of representations, discuss a request from the Buckingham Flood Action Group for a formal town centre council representative.
This is exactly what it says, Chair.
Yeah.
Flood Action Group would like a formal, so not somebody who's actually be their representative from the town council. So it's for members to decide if they would like this to become a formal representative. So somebody to volunteer and be voted to do it.
Councillor Harvey.
I'm all for there being a link between the town council and this group. The word that kind of like makes me recall a little bit is formal, because as far as I know, this group has not yet been going even a year. Does it have a constitution? Does it have a bank account? Does it have any of that stuff?
Yeah, they're registered, they have a constitution, they have, they've had their AGM, they have commitment.
Councillor Draper.
You can respond when I've sat down. Okay, fine. Okay.
Councillor Draper, you will respond.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, the Flood Action for Buckingham, they are fully registered, they've got a constitution, they have committee members, they've had their AGM, they are fully up and running and official, and have reached out, working in partnership with the council, don't have an official representative to sit on the committee.
Councillor Statutory.
Yeah, I mean, they've gone a long way in such a short space of time. I think really good to have formal representation on it, because it's going to be a high profile issue for a very, very long time. And there's going to be conversations with upper bodies about flooding, climate change, whatever. And it's very good if we have someone who's formally opposed by to be on it, because then there's integrate space between us then. Because it was quite a lot for everyone to take on board who had ability. And I think they attended the spring fair and they took active part in that. And they've also been active in other things in the community. So I'm not against this. I think it's a really good idea. I don't know if I can propose that just to regularise the position, because I know Lucy is a volunteer on there, whether you're going to stay as a volunteer, that's fine. But I think it'd be something that somebody else could do. I mean, I don't know how many I think better I don't go on it myself. Yeah. But I do think that we do need to regularise it. I'm happy to propose that we do regularise it and choose a member of the council to learn and work with.
Thank you. Councillor Draper.
Yeah, I was just going to add that the reason that I'm not nominating myself is because I only sit on the committee as a volunteer. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. So the recommendation is that members make appointments of councillors to represent and report back to full council. Oh no, that's right, outside bodies, that's not specific, that's one, is it? I missed a page, sorry. Councillor Troy.
Yeah, just picking up on Councillor Draper's point, we have had, and probably still do, have members which are committee members of other groups, but also appointed by the council. So that doesn't preclude you. It just means that you have another hat to wear. Not being too thankful or anything, sorry. No, I shouldn't have said that, should I? No. So you can wear a councillor approved position on a committee, and if you choose, still be probably normal volunteer in that committee as well, and have your two hats.
Okay. So firstly, I think we need to decide whether we are going to appoint a member to sit on the flood action group committee in order to liaise with council. So do we have a proposal in a second for that? Okay, so Councillor Suchbury proposes and Councillor Schaefer seconds that. So all those in favour of that? That's unanimous, thank you very much. And then secondly, whether there is anybody within this meeting who wishes to put themselves forward for that role.
Not see anyway at the stage.
Excellent, Councillor Allen. Has anybody else got any interest in that?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Allen.
Second, Councillor Allen then. All those in favour? You can vote for yourself. Thank you. So we've decided on that. So that's so we've got then the representatives on outside bodies, then which is 6.2. So we've got several vacancies on page 148 of 206. Sorry. Right, go, yeah, okay, right, so, okay. AV Association of Local Councils, AVAL, yeah, which is currently Councillor Harvey. That's for renewal. Anybody wish to volunteer for that role? Councillor Harvey, are you happy to remain in?
Yeah, I'm currently on.
Okay.
It may not be lasting much longer, but yeah.
Okay, so I propose Councillor Harvey for that role. Councillor Harvey, I think, has just seconded himself. Those in favour? Okay, so that's Councillor Harvey. Aylesbury Vale Transport Users Group, which is currently Councillor Statutory and Councillor Harvey. Anybody want to come on to that group in place of those people? Sorry, I've forgotten your name.
Sunday's the same.
Yeah, would you like to?
Yes.
Okay. You'd like to?
Everybody board.
Okay, so that's the Aylesbury Vale Transport Users Group. Councillor Singh, anybody, Councillor Singh's proposed to himself, I'll second him, anybody else wish to go for that? We need 2 members on this. So we can vote on Councillor Singh first. All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you very much.
Do you want to stay on that?
No, I don't think it's good.
And then, we need one more member on there.
I'd like to propose John because
Councillor Harvey.
he's actually been the longest there, and I have to apologise to John, I haven't actually been that attentive. Well, you've been more attentive than I have, John, so I wasn't going to claim, it's just it always clashes with things I'm doing elsewhere.
Okay, so councillor Statutory is proposing councillor Harvey for that. Are you happy to?
Yeah, I can second.
I'll second that.
I mean, it's barely functioning.
Those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you very much. Okay, so Bardic Council seems to have not been doing anything at all. So whether we want to.
I don't know whether they have folded.
So I myself and councillor Willett did try to resurrect it, but to no avail, and that was about 2.5 years ago, so.
Can we just
May I
delete it?
suggest yourself to it, and then you told me that they told me.
Okay, all right, then I can do it. Okay. I've praised myself on that, anybody second me? Councillor Baker second me, all that in favour. Thank you. Buckingham Corporate Charitable Trust. At the moment, we've got the mayor, ex officio, we've got councillor Stutchbury, councillor Davis, and councillor Harvey. Councillor Harvey?
Yeah, I'm happy to carry on, but of course there is no vacancy.
Yeah, absolutely. Councillor Stutchbury?
Yeah, just to let you know, it's not odious, doesn't meet very often, it's very, we've got a ransom strip, things which have got to be dealt with, and it's a procedural thing. May get very busy in future, but at the moment it's quite dormant. So don't think you're going to have lots of evenings out. You're not. And if we do get lots of evenings, that'd be very exciting. There'll be something happening.
Councillor Draper? Okay, councillor Draper, most yourself, so councillor Draper, councillor Stutchbury, and councillor Harvey are based on the second all three of them, if that's all right. All those in favour of those three? Thank you very much. Buckingham Community Wildlife Project and Climate Emergency Group. We have a vacancy and we have councillor Draper on there.
Could I just say that councillor Newell, who's not here tonight, has noted to note that she would be keen to take on.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we need somebody else to propose them?
Yeah, I'll second you if you were proposing it, Lucy.
Yeah.
No, it's Ravina.
Oh, in this case, I'll second whoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else wish to put themselves forward?
I would be interested at some point, but it sounds like
Okay.
it's,
Councillor Draper?
Just to say that, councillor Newell does already sit on that group as a part of it, and she chairs it, so potentially, maybe if we have a chat with her about it, because I think more representation is happening better.
Yeah.
It gets the other councillors say what from her.
Do you want to leave that one open to the next meeting then?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
councillor
Yeah,
Newell
yeah.
was very keen.
Yeah. It's-
Everybody happy with that one? We need to vote on that.
No, we're leaving it open.
Yeah. Right, Buckingham Arms Houses and Welfare Charities, we have 2 vacancies on that. Councillor Harvey?
Yeah, just I kind of want to emphasise the importance of this group. It's one of the few social housing providers in the town. It meets on a regular basis. There's a management committee which meets more or less every month. There's also the board which meets 4 times a year for a couple of hours or so. Obviously, this include Geraldine and Alison, who were the delegates. Lisa's still here, of course. I really would like to encourage people to come forward to be trustee members of this. And also I hope that maybe that would encourage people, particularly the newer members of the council, to consider it's really very, very important. I'm a cooperative trustee, that's what I'm talking about. So please do so.
We've got Councillor O'Donoghue and then Councillor Jane Mordew.
I'm happy to stay on it.
You're not listed on this.
Second page.
Second.
Yeah, next page.
Oh, right, okay. All right, so, okay, sorry, I was thinking that Buckingham General Charities was a separate.
No,
Sorry.
I'm
I'm going hostile. Okay, right, yeah, Councillor O'Donoghue's happy to go. So Councillor Jane Mordew.
Thank you. Just to say that Councillor Raff, as he was walking out the door, said, Jane, put yourself forward for the alms house. Thank you, I said. But also the trustee did ask if I would put myself forward.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I second that.
Yeah, well done.
I think Councillor Ahmed, I think was already seconded that. And then, so we need one more?
No.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
those are already on,
yes,
yeah, of course, yeah.
Sorry, who was that?
We need one more.
Yes, we need one more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Haydock, sorry. There we go. I know people's first names. I have to think about sorry. Okay, so Councillor Haydock proposed by Councillor and seconded by Councillor Ahmed, Councillor O'Donoghue, proposed by Councillor Ahmed and seconded by
Myself.
okay, and then Councillor Jane Mordew, proposed by Councillor
Alan.
Councillor O'Donoghue and seconded by Councillor Martin. All those in favour? Excellent, right, thank you very much. This is getting too complicated.
Very well.
I'm happy if you choose my first name, it's absolutely fine.
Might be easier, Chair, if we do the each organisation as one single vote.
Yeah, that's right, just thinking. I was just making sure we've got a vote in a second. Buckingham Youth Centre. At the moment, we've got Councillor Draper and Councillor Statutory. Councillor Draper.
I'd like to propose that I'll stay on it, and I'm sure Councillor Statutory will as well.
I'm very happy to sign it. It is one of the things this town saved.
I'll second both.
Okay, all those in favour? Excellent, so that's unanimous. Citizens' advice is the mayor and deputy mayor, deputy mayor, especially, and Councillor Howard Mordew.
No, Howard's in the Christmas parade committee, not the citizens' advice.
It's on this one.
Yeah.
No, there's a line between the two.
Okay. It's more sense that, doesn't it?
Sorry.
Is that right? Is the line in the wrong place?
No, the line's in the right place.
Councillor Fry on Christmas.
Right, okay, so Councillor Mordew, so we don't need anybody else on citizens'
No.
advice? Okay, right. Sorry, I was getting that one confused.
No, it wasn't.
Right, Christmas parade committee, Councillor Try and Councillor Mordew.
I'm sure we're happy to do a double act.
Second it.
Second, yeah.
Okay, all those in favour? Did you get the motion second there? Thank you very much.
Christmas is coming.
Dementia Action Alliance, Councillor Harvey.
I'm going to stand down. I've tried for 4 years to get this group without success, so I think I'm not the right person. So I'm going to stand down.
We've got any
I was under the impression that Dementia Action Alliance had sort of funneled it, and I believe the website is no longer active, unfortunately.
Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, just forget it has folded, and that's been the point of trying to
Yeah,
get it running again, but I say without success. So I'm stepping back because my attempts have been not worked. So I think if somebody else wants to take that mantle and have another go, that's what I'm proposing.
That's such a.
I think this is a very serious matter and that it's folded. I think perhaps last have it put on the environment committee, which has a health remit, discussed at a future date. It is a serious subject. Just to get some feel what is out there, so that we can just feather if there's some other organisations that are similar, because it's not your fault, John, that it doesn't on anything. I think perhaps we need to just talk about it in to see information at a date, because health is a remit of that. I don't know where I need to write to, but whether it should be good enough to do it. But I think it's too serious about there's so many events.
What's the try?
I also sit on age concern outside of this council. I'm happy to dig into it and see what can be done or how we can do something.
Yeah.
I think as Councillor Statutory said, it's a thing that we need to be involved in.
Yeah.
I'll second Martin then if he's proposing himself.
Yeah, seconded. Yeah, proposed, whatever.
I still would like it to go on. I would be like to go on the environment committee. So we give it more time.
Okay. I'm quite happy to work with what's a try.
I'll propose you then.
So, the council to try and resurrect. Okay, so councillor Try and councillor Davis, without all those in favour? It's unanimous, thank you very much. National Medical Centre Forum.
This one hasn't met, and I don't think this is necessary now that the LASL is going through. So I think this section just one might get it.
Okay, so what would you want to do?
I would suggest members to appoint councillors until official one way or the other in the organisation. If it's not, I would be uncomfortable with this meeting winding up another group.
Yeah, happy to stay until as a contact from them to us, so to speak. But obviously they've got contacts with other councillors as well.
Councillor Suchby?
There was a meeting prior to the election discussing what might happen with the health sector, which was central meeting. That was a meeting with Parliament and other people. So I think that there are meetings going on. Now it's actually, those are all the difficulties happening and trying to understand it. So I think that maybe there's going to be some worth in just staying. There's going to be explaining this to the community, timelines and stuff, what's going to happen. So I think waiting a little while and maybe a new role for the people in that conversation. Because it's not going to happen overnight, it's going to be 2026, isn't it?
I'll second both gentlemen. Can you second them?
Sorry, Chair, I should say, because I've been asked to, that councillor in the hearing section is the power.
We've got councillor Harvey next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, if I'm catching that right, are we saying that Councillor Newell was expressing an interest in this group? Because I think, yes, it's now going ahead, but that for me means all the more reason why we should remain involved to help shape it to a point where it's going to meet the wider needs of the community. So I think that now is not the time to be pulling back from that.
I don't think we were going to do that.
Oh, sorry,
we were keeping it going.
Okay, that's great.
Unless there appears to be no need for any more. Councillor Try.
Yeah, so just to support Councillor Harvey, the third sentence up, or apart from the URL, take soundings from the patient's community and develop plans, identify shortcomings. And I think that's the place where we'll be going as it gets built and they want to put services in there. We're going to have to come together as a group to identify how it works in the community and maybe what they're not seeing. So that's probably where the work is, as Councillor Harvey said.
I think there's a separate thing there, the project, which is the form factor project, now proceeding, what goes into that building, big part of the strong practice business plan, what they're doing. I think we're going to have to build new channels of communications around that. What we can't do is tell a sovereign body, which is strong practice, which we want to manage your business. So I think what we need to do is build ways of understanding what they're doing so we can communicate as advocates for them about how they're trying to work in the community.
Say that I believe that's how a forum generally works.
You're not going to be right in this.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got 3 councillors who have expressed an interest in this. We've got Councillor Newell, Councillor Try and Councillor Marhy.
It's not our form to appoint, that's that too, so we could write and ask if they would accept a third person, but I wouldn't want to make that decision for anyone to ask.
It's good.
Okay.
It's very much, don't they?
Councillor Try.
Well, yes, can we just put councillor Newell as a reserve?
Yeah.
And then when it gets going again, we've got her on the list. The 2 of us can then ask if she could come on.
I second that you don't, so I'll second.
Okay, so is everybody happy with that? Councillors, thank you. Councillor Draper?
I don't know.
Okay, we can wait. We are going to wait. Okay, so Councillor Try and Councillor Marhy with Councillor Newell in reserve. All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you very much. Okay, Buckingham and Villages Community Board, which is not the correct title of it anymore, is it? I don't think.
It's after
Buckingham and Winslow.
Yeah, something like whatever it's supposed to be called, can we look at who's going to be representatives of that, please? Councillor Harvey.
I'm happy to continue if people want me to.
Thank you. Statutory.
We'll say it's very large. It's extensive with no money. And no resources to do anything. So quite what its purpose will be going forward, who knows? May turn into a local area forum, we don't know. We have no money, but whatever. So I don't know. I just think we need to perhaps the mayor ask for a bit of a briefing what they expect it to be going forward, so we know.
We still need a representative.
Yeah, I know, but I just think that it's unclear actually, that size of area.
Which those deputy ones needed.
That's true.
Without the resources and money, that's probably why the URL doesn't work then. So maybe we could change that.
Disbanded Buckingham and Villages Community Board. It was in a Buckinghamshire and Villages Community Board. It was a Buckingham and Villages Community Board. And it is now with the new ward boundaries, etc. It is now Buckingham and Winslow Community Board, I believe. Okay, so Councillor Harvey's happy to stay on. Councillor O'Donoghue is happy to stay on to deputise. Councillor Schaefer, thank you very much. All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you very much. Okay, and then the next one is Norfolk Parishes, not too far. Norfolk Parishes Planning Consortium, Councillor Schaefer.
May I suggest that we defer that decision to the next planning meeting? It was in the past, Councillor Alford did this as the deputy chair for planning committee, and it might be wise to wait till we have that election.
Again, the URL doesn't work, but I'll be quite interested in my name forward, but maybe in the planning meeting. Well, now it goes.
It is a full council appointment, so I suggest planning me have a conversation and we put a name forward for full council to agree.
Councillor Harvey.
Hang on, if Martin says yes. I'm sorry. What is that? It's exactly. Don't hurry now. Thank you very much. Very good idea. I think we should be. I am.
Yes, so. Okay, so councillor Fry has been seconded, all those in favour?
You swines, you.
I believe you proposed.
Your fault.
Okay, so next one, please, thank you, councillor Green. We have mayoral deputy and then councillor Harvey and a vacancy.
Councillor Newell again asked me to put forward to members if she would be interested.
I think councillor.
Interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
As I say, I sit on it anyway as chairman of the Friends of the University, so I'm not proposing myself.
So councillor Harvey, are you wishing to remain on there?
Well, I mean, as some people know, this is my baby, and something I've been involved with right from the start, but I'm happy to stand back if somebody else wants to get involved. Yeah, okay, I don't have to own it at all, yeah, if Ravina wants to do it.
Okay.
Or Ruth, whichever, you know.
Well, we need a. We need a,
Two vacancies.
deputy and a member, don't we? So, councillor Ahmed, would you like to put yourself forward as the member, the representative? Yeah, okay. A second. Seconded by councillor O'Donoghue. All those in favour?
And I'll propose with the vacancy of deputy.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favour? So let's thank John for all his time that he's served on that group. So now network of councils with a precept over 1 million, new super councils network. At the moment it's councillor Harvey.
I'm happy to carry on if you want me to.
I'll second. I'll second.
Seconded by
Okay.
councillor Mahi. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Tree wardens, we have one. Councillor Statutory, councillor Draper and a vacancy. Okay, councillor Haydock. Councillor Statutory.
I think you'd like to do it, wouldn't you?
I'm down to the. Three.
No.
So councillor Statutory, if you're going to stand down, councillor Newell has also expressed an interest in that.
I could second all
three.
all three.
So councillor Draper, councillor Haydock and councillor Newell.
Yeah.
Are those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you very much.
May I, Mayor?
Hmm?
May I?
Yeah.
I hope this isn't another council without any resources or monies, because the URL doesn't work. Our services, I don't think we have an hour service.
So Twinning Association, member is councillor, I'm presuming that's Howard Mordew, and a vacancy. Has councillor Howard Mordew, it is councillor Howard.
It is.
Yeah.
We are
So
both,
has
we are
he
both on it, but.
has he expressed an interest in that, councillor Schaefer?
I told myself I wasn't going to volunteer for anything, but I would be happy to be on that.
Yeah.
It'd be wonderful. It's really wonderful.
Okay, and do we know if councillor Howard Mordew is happy to also remain on there?
Yes, I believe
Okay.
it is.
I'll second both then.
Second both, all those in favour, councillor Schaefer, councillor Howard Mordew, thank you very much. The River Ousel Internal Drainage Board, councillor Draper, very recent appointment.
We've got more.
No, you've missed one.
I'm sorry. Yeah, rural market sounds, councillor Schaefer.
Um,
Currently,
there hasn't been much happening, except that I keep getting bulletins, which I tell myself I will read much more carefully the next time something comes. But I'm happy to continue doing it, I'm interested in it.
do I have a second, will you second, councillor Ahmed, all those in favour? Thank you very much, and then the River is or internal drainage board, which is councillor Draper, who's recently been appointed to it. Councillor Draper is happy to stay on it. Seconded by councillor Sturchbury, all those in favour? Thank you very much. And I think we've done that, haven't we? Right, let's go on to the next bit. Okay, the next
50 to go.
one is. Where's it gone? What was it? Is it on the set register? We can see it on here.
That's it.
153, yes.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Received a report from the assistant RFO, in the asset register. Recommended the members note and agree changes made to the asset register during the financial year 24-25. Anybody got any questions on that? Councillor Sturchbury.
Propose we agree and note.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Seconded by councillor Ahmed. All those in favour? Thank you very much. And then the review of inventory of land and assets, including buildings and office equipment. Is it some notes?
Hope so.
Are we noting that? Yeah. Noted, thank you very much. Review of the asset register and disposal policy, report from compliance with project policy, asset register and disposal policy.
There's very minor amendments with a change of title and one change of reference point.
Propose we accept.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you very much. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Right, that's that. So. The next one, subscriptions, isn't it? Next one, yep. Subscriptions, review of council and or staff. Subscriptions. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Thank you. Review of council and or staff subscriptions to other bodies.
Page 169.
Yeah.
John?
It just seems odd that we subscribe to Health Matic. We're sure they're a service provider. I'm just surprised it comes in this list here. They presumably clean our toilets. Is that not the case?
They do. This is basically our own arrangements to one listing with the grading.
Okay, all right.
Okay, anybody else? Proposed or seconded?
Yeah.
Proposed by councillor Ahmed, seconded by councillor Draper. All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you very much. Complaints procedure, policy, Steve.
Again, unchanged, other than a couple of very minor wording corrections.
Propose to accept.
Seconded.
Thank you, all those in favour? Okay, we'll go to media policy.
Unchanged.
Okay, I would like to propose an amendment to that. Let me find it, page numbers.
179,
Yeah.
178 to 179.
at the moment for press releases, it is the mayor or the committee chair that gives a quote for press releases. In the past, I believe that we have decided in committee who would give that quote, i.e. lead councillor on a particular event. And I would like to propose that we amend that line to allow the committees to delegate to a lead councillor on the event to give quote.
I second that.
Thank you.
Can I speak to that?
Yeah.
The media policy is an extremely important document, members, because it, who speaks in media conveys an awful lot of power and it gives a lot of exposure. I would strongly advise, if you're going to amend your media policy, to really have a think about the impact of doing that and to not make a snap judgment on it. It's not a minor change.
That's Statutory.
Yeah, I listened to it. The issue is that I'm very happy chairing committee quite a lot of things, but it seems only appropriate when a council leads on an event that they can actually be involved in the press release, because we've had instances where we've said no, there can't be, and I think that if someone's done a lot of work over stewarding something, it's only right that they get a chance to be seen of what they're doing, not just like the chair. Right, I write releases, they're all very similar. They're amended quite equally, and spelling and grammar. But I just think it's a way of doing that. Whether it's something we need to return to look for specific. Because I think it's events when it's something like different members have done different things throughout the years. They've put a lot of time into it, and I'm happy to write something with that they get a mention in it and able to say something themselves. Because it shouldn't all be about the profile of one person. And I think, you know, that's my feeling. You know, but if the clerk says we have to go away and look at it and come back with formal proposals about to do this, that's completely different than saying no.
May I now ask the council? It's not for me to say no, this is your policy, but it is an important one, and it's not just events. Members do things all of the time. They go to meetings, they are representatives on other committees, as we've all been spent a lot of time talking about. If you're going to amend the policy so that other members' votes are taken as an officer, and because this is an area of contention, I would like a really, really, really clear directive as to exactly what you want from me. At the moment, this media policy is very clear. So it's easy for me to not be accused of bias, for me to not be accused of always using the same, because it's a clear thing that I can go to, and I would really like, if we want to change it, and that's absolutely, if there's some discussion and thought. And this would sit with the communication strategy group in the first instance, maybe to have a think about it and then bring something back.
Thank you.
Councillor Suchbury. No, Councillor Suchbury, sit down. I've got Councillor Draper, then I've got Councillor Armid, then I've got Councillor Harvey.
Regarding the wording, I was having a think about it, and I thought potentially something like include a quote from the mayor or relevant committee chair, unless the committee has otherwise nominated a councillor, so that the decision to make a quote is not coming from you. So it will automatically defer to the mayor or the relevant committee chair. However, if that committee has said, we want the press release and we want Councillor O'Donoghue to do the quote for it, and then that decision has already been made, it's not your decision as clerk or Zoe's decision as deputy town clerk. The decision is completely out of your hands. It's been made within that committee. Would that be
I still think it's worth discussion. But you members, this is your decision if this is what you want to do. But I would advocate a little bit of caution and a little bit.
Now, speak for that well.
Okay, can I just take members first and then I'll come back. Councillor Ahmed.
All I want to say is obviously I agree with the mayor in regards to being able, a committee being able to choose who is going to represent them with a quote or anything in the media, because with all due respect, I mean, historically, someone who's in charge of either the council or the committee chair may not be the person who's best placed to make these quotes. And whatever you're trying to safeguard by not allowing the rest of the councillors to speak, maybe other councillors within a group are more articulate or, you know, best suited to give that quote. And it could be in the favour of the council to allow others to speak rather than just the chairs.
May I say, I'm not arguing for the status quo, I am arguing that if changes are made, that they are thought through by all members. It may go away and have a think about it.
Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with the town clerk here. I think this deserves a bit more attention and a bit more thought.
Yeah.
And I think it is appropriate that it goes to the communication strategy group to have some further thought about, then come back to council afterwards, rather than make a quick decision tonight. I appreciate there's been some discussions evidently outside of the meeting, but this is the first time I've heard of this. And if a vote is forced on this, then I'll be abstaining, because I don't agree this is the right moment to make such a significant change to our media policy. And therefore I'm suggesting that we refer this back to the CSG for further debate and bring it back to the town council at a later point.
I was just going to ask that my recollection was the initial proposal for an amendment which made reference to lead councillors. From a compliance point of view, I cannot recall I've ever seen a vote taken for lead council to be appointed. They've done in the past. I haven't seen one that's up to date.
I think that within TC&E, there have been lead councillors appointed and voted for within that, certainly as long as I've been on the council, and there are members on here that have been on the council a lot longer than I have. For example, Councillor Mahi has been lead councillor on bonfire fireworks for many years.
It is a TC&E thing, but not other committees don't necessarily do that.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's anything other than TC&E. And prior to this last few months, I believe Councillor Mahi has given a quote for the bonfire fireworks event. I know that I've given quotes for the food fair event when asked to do so, and it's always been the case up to that point. So okay, this possibly, as other members have said, it's probably, I'm like, this is quite a long meeting anyway. We've got quite a lot more to go through on this. Can we defer an acceptance of this policy at this point, and go for further? So I propose that we defer the decision on this at the moment. Councillor Stretchman.
I'm not suggesting we defer this to go anywhere else. I think if we're going to defer it, I think that the option would be recommendation, how it needs to be changed. I'm not interested that this is the council, it's the council, communication strategy of the council. And I think to think that you then having that as a second council, stopping council. Not that the communication strategy do anything wrong, but the third and fourth council is there. So I think it should come back with a full recommendation. And as this is an events thing, I think it should be an event should come forward with a full recommendation to council to change it, as it was a discussion of event basis. If that isn't acceptable to the council, then it's lost. And then we accept the policy. I think that's the way to go.
It's the reference of communication strategy.
Yeah, just say it's, and the communication strategy group is open to anyone who will come along to it, like any other committee is. But I think this is a policy that's got to be looked at by CSG. That's what CSG is for. It's to look at communications. That's what we do all the time. And that, you know, we produce the newsletter, we monitor press releases and all the other stuff that goes along with looking at this in the round. So this cannot be in one of the committees because more than one of the committees.
I agree with you, it would have to come back to, full council because this is.
Yeah, well, it will.
This is a full council policy.
I believe that was the proposal,
Yeah.
that community, the communication strategy subcommittee. Oh, I got that one right. Look at it, discuss it, and then come back with a proposal to full council. And that is what we do all the time when we are sending something to a committee or subcommittee. Look at a detailed proposal and then come back. So to me, that sounds like acceptable. That's what
proposal from me, I think, to defer. And then seconded by. All those in favour? Thank you.
Sorry, Mayor, just to clarify, where's it going to be deferred to? Where's it going to refer?
So it's the
Communities.
the decision is deferred tonight. It will go to communication strategy group.
Okay.
For them to come with a report.
And the recommendation.
Yeah,
Okay.
recommendation.
We don't have to
Yeah,
watch it.
yeah,
So.
yeah. Okay, right, so, 11.1 councillor officer protocol.
I am terribly.
Propose we agree.
Seconder? Councillor Drake, all those in favour? Okay, item 12, approval of the use of bankers standing order backs and chaps payments for the receiving report compliance from projects manager.
Do you want me to speak on this? This is simply a requirement of financial regulations that the use of the subsistence to make payments are reapproved.
Okay, I propose we accept it. Seconded by councillor O'Donoghue. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Code of conduct, receiving report from the compliance project manager. Councillor's code of conduct. Is there any changes on that, Steve?
No.
Okay, John?
Propose we accept it.
Excellent, thank you. Seconded by? Yeah, take the pick. Councillor Margaret. All those in favour? Thank you very much. General powers of competence, Buckingham Town Council is an eligible council for the general
Let us get there.
power of competence as it meets the prescribed conditions. Council therefore has greater than 2/3 of its members elected and town council has a certificate in local council administration and completed the relevant training. Is that a? I haven't found the page yet.
It doesn't have a page.
It doesn't have a page.
Okay, so is that noted? Agreed, agreed. All those in favour?
Sorry.
Proposal and seconded. Yeah, go on.
I thought we had already agreed some 8 years ago that we dealt with general powers.
At the start of the council.
Yeah, at the start, so it has to be done, that's what, I see it on there and I just think, I thought we agreed with that, because it doesn't, thank you, it doesn't run, it's an annual thing.
Not an annual, it's every new council.
Yeah.
It's in every new council, we do not refer it annually.
Yeah.
Another 6 years is going to
Okay.
Really? Right there.
Mayoral engagements,
Sorry, was there a vote on general power?
there was, yeah.
There was.
Yeah.
We agreed it.
Yeah. Functions of mayor, the outgoing mayor is attended in functions that the outgoing deputy mayor.
Did we get a proposal?
Oh, did we not? Sorry. Okay, I'll second it. Favour? For the last one, power of competence. Okay, sorry, thank you. Chair's announcements, I don't think I have any because of the board, which we do no turns. Thank you everybody for sitting through this. It's quite a taxing meeting. But it only has to happen once a year. Dates of next meetings, 16th of June is interim council and 7th of July is full council. And after those we're going to private session.